Dust lifts before you even see the town. It hangs there, drifting across the horizon like something alive, something that remembers every footstep that passed through it. Hooves, boots, wagon wheels grinding the earth into powder. You hear it first, a loose rhythm of wood creaking, leather stretching, a distant shout that doesn't quite carry the words. Then the shape appears, a line of buildings that look temporary, like they could fold back into the dirt if the wind decided to push. Harder, no symmetry, no plan, just survival nailed together. Timber warped by heat, signs hanging crooked, paint already surrendering to the sun. This is somewhere in the American West, around 1800. No name you'd recognize. Most of these places didn't last long enough to be remembered. A man stands near the edge of the road, hat low, watching nothing in particular. Or maybe watching everything. It's hard to tell here. People learn quickly that attention can cost them. His coat is older than it should be. Dust stitched into every seam. He hasn't moved in a while, but he's not resting. Nobody really rests out here. Across the street, a woman drags a bucket from a well that looks deeper than it should be. The rope groans as if it's been doing this job longer than anyone alive. Her hands are rough, movements automatic. Water isn't just water here. It's time, effort, risk. A child runs past her, barefoot, fast, disappearing between buildings like a shadow that hasn't decided what it belongs to yet. Nothing is quiet, but nothing is loud either. It's a strange balance. Conversations happen in pieces. Doors open halfway. Eyes meet, then quickly look away. Trust is thin, stretched across distances too wide for comfort. You might expect chaos. Gunfights in the open, lawlessness spilling into every corner. But that's not how it usually feels. It feels slower, heavier, like something is always about to happen, but hasn't yet. A wagon rolls into town, wheels grinding against the dry earth. The driver doesn't wave. He scans, always scanning. Every new arrival is a question nobody asks out loud. Friend, traitor, or trouble? There's no clear answer here. Not at first glance. Because out here, people aren't just one thing. A man could be a farmer in the morning, and something else entirely by nightfall. A woman could run a kitchen, mend clothes, and still know exactly where a rifle is kept, and how to use it without hesitation. Survival doesn't leave room for simple roles. The sun climbs higher, pressing down on everything with quiet authority. Shadows shrink. The town reveals more of itself reluctantly. A general store with empty spaces on its shelves. A saloon that's already open, even though it probably never closed. A stable where the horses look as tired as the people. And underneath all of it, something unspoken. This place wasn't built to last. Most weren't. People came chasing land, gold, escape, second chances, or running from something they didn't want to name. But the land doesn't care about reasons. It tests everyone the same way. Some pass, most don't. And as the wind shifts again, carrying that same restless dust through the streets, you start to realize this isn't just a town. It's a moment, a fragile one, caught somewhere between hope and disappearance. And it won't stay like this for long. By late afternoon, the town starts to change. Not all at once. It's subtle. Shadows stretch back across the dirt like they're reclaiming something that never fully belonged to the day. The heat loosens its grip, just enough for people to breathe differently. Shoulders drop. Conversations last a second longer. But something else rises with the cooling air. A tension that wasn't visible before. The saloon doors swing more often now. Slow, uneven. Inside, the light is dim, filtered through dust-coated windows that haven't been properly cleaned in years. A piano stumbles through a tune that's almost recognizable, almost. Men gather around tables, some speaking low, others not speaking at all. Cards slide across wood worn smooth by repetition. Glass meets surface. Liquid disappears quickly. No one here is fully relaxed. Even the laughter feels measured, like it's being watched. At the bar, a man with a fresh shave and a cleaner coat than most doesn't quite fit. Not yet. His eyes move too much, taking in exits, counting faces. He's new. That alone makes him noticeable. Across the room, someone notices him noticing. That's how it starts. Not with violence, but with attention. Outside, the woman from the well now sits on a low wooden step, repairing a torn sleeve with steady hands. The thread moves in and out, precise, practiced. She doesn't look up often, but when she does, it's quick, intentional. She hears things others miss. A horse stopping too abruptly. Boots that don't match the rhythm of the town. A voice raised, then suddenly cut off. She doesn't react, not outwardly, because reacting can pull you into something you didn't choose. Further down the road, the child from earlier has slowed. The energy is different now. Even they can feel it. Instinct, maybe. Or just observation learned too early. They stay closer to the buildings, closer to shadows. Back inside the saloon, a chair scrapes louder than it should. Every head turns, just slightly. The new man stands now, one hand resting near his belt. Not on a weapon, not yet, but close enough to make the point. Across from him, another man leans back, expression unreadable. He's been here longer. That shows in the way he doesn't rush. Time moves differently in moments like this. Slower, thicker, like the air itself is waiting. No one speaks. Not because they don't have something to say, but because words won't help anymore. This is where decisions happen without sound. Outside, the wind picks up again, pushing dust through the open street. It slips through cracks, under doors, between boards. It carries everything with it. Footsteps, fragments of voices, the quiet build of something about to break. And just before anything does, there's a pause. A real one, long enough to feel. Because out here, that pause is often the last thing people remember. The silence snaps, but not in the way you expect. No gunshot, not yet. Just a voice, low, controlled, cutting through the room like it's been waiting its turn. Not from around here, are you? It's directed at the new man, but it lands on everyone. He doesn't answer immediately. His fingers twitch slightly, not enough to draw, just enough to betray the thought. The room tightens. You can feel it in the way people stop breathing fully, like lungs suddenly became optional. Then a small shift, a decision. The new man steps back, just half a step, but it's enough. Enough to say he's not ready for whatever this town might demand of him. Enough to tell the others he understands something now. Something you don't learn until you're standing exactly where he is. This place doesn't need a reason, it just needs a moment. The tension eases, but it doesn't disappear. It never does. It just folds itself away like a blade slipping back into its sheath. For now. The chair settles back onto all four legs. Someone exhales. The piano resumes, missing a note before finding its way again. Life continues, if you can call it that. But the room remembers. It always remembers. Outside, the sky begins to dim, colors draining slowly into deeper shades of orange and blue. The kind of sunset that would stop people anywhere else. But not here. Here, it's just another signal. Night is coming, and night changes things. Lanterns flicker to life one by one, their glow uneven, barely pushing back the dark. The spaces between buildings grow heavier, harder to read. Shapes blur. Movement becomes suggestion instead of certainty. This is when people disappear. Not always forever, but long enough. A deal made behind closed doors. A debt collected quietly. A conversation that was never meant to be overheard, or sometimes footsteps leading out of town with no plan to return. The man who stood at the edge earlier is gone now. No one saw him leave, or maybe they did, and chose not to remember. The woman finishes her stitching, biting the thread clean. She finally stands, stretching her back just slightly, eyes scanning the street one more time. Not nervous, not afraid, just aware, always aware. She steps inside, closing the door behind her with care, not to keep danger out, but to avoid inviting it in. Further down, the child watches the lanterns from a distance, their face half lit, half lost in shadow. There's curiosity there, but also understanding. Too much understanding. Because growing up here doesn't take years. It takes moments like this. Moments where you realize the rules are different. Or maybe there are no rules at all. Back in the saloon, the new man sits again, quieter now. He's learned something without being taught. His eyes don't move as much. His hands stay closer to the table. He might last longer because of that. Or maybe not. Out here, survival isn't just about what you know, it's about timing. And timing has a way of turning on people, without warning. The wind returns once more, softer this time, slipping through the town like a whisper no one quite hears. It carries the last heat of the day away, leaving something colder behind, something sharper. And as the darkness settles in fully, swallowing the edges of every building, every path, every face, you begin to understand the truth no one says out loud. This place doesn't sleep. It waits. Night in the Old West is never empty. That's the first lie daylight tells. In the sun, everything looks exposed. Honest almost. You can count the buildings, watch the road, study a man's face and tell yourself you understand the place. But once dark settles over the town, that confidence starts to rot. The edges vanish first. The hitching posts, the trough, the wagon left too close to the stable. One by one, familiar shapes lose their names. A barrel becomes a crouching figure. A coat on a line looks like someone hanging motionless in the wind. Every shadow suggests a choice that hasn't been made yet. A dog starts barking somewhere beyond the last row of buildings. Sharp, repeated, then suddenly silent. Inside, homes with thin walls and weak lanterns, families lower their voices without meaning to. Tin plates are stacked carefully. Doors are checked twice. A rifle rests across one man's knees while he stares at nothing, listening to the boards creak beneath his own house as if they might betray him. This is how people live here. Not in constant panic, but in constant adjustment. You adapt to uncertainty or the land does the teaching for you. Down near the stable, a young ranch hand works by lamplight brushing down a horse that's too nervous to settle. The animal keeps shifting, ears turning toward the open dark beyond town. Horses know things before people do. They catch scent before sound, tension before movement. The boy tries to soothe it, murmuring under his breath, though his own hands are trembling a little. He heard what almost happened at the saloon. Everyone did. News travels strangely in places like this, fast without being spoken. A glance carries it. The angle of a shoulder. The fact that someone leaves a room quieter than they entered. At the far end of town where the buildings thin out and the land begins reclaiming itself, two men stand beside a wagon with no lantern lit. That alone tells you enough. Men doing honest work at night usually want to see what they're touching. These men don't. One of them speaks in a whisper too low to make out. The other spits into the dirt, shakes his head, then glances toward the saloon. Whatever this is, it's connected. In a town this small, everything is connected. Money, water, horses, rumors, pride. Even grief gets traded from one door to the next. A few streets over, the woman who had been sewing earlier sits awake at a small table, the room dim except for one oil lamp burning low. She's mending no more clothes now. In front of her is a tin cup gone cold and a revolver placed beside it, not dramatically, not like a threat, just where it belongs. Useful things stay close. She hears footsteps pass her house. 2 people, maybe 3, not running, not drunk either. Too deliberate for that. She doesn't rise, She doesn't go to the window. Looking can be as dangerous as being seen. Instead, she listens until the sound fades, and only then does she breathe again, slow and measured, as though even fear must be portioned carefully out here. Across town, the child has not gone to sleep. They lie under a thin blanket, eyes open, tracking lines of lantern light through the cracks in the wall. Grown-ups think children don't understand much. That's another lie places like this destroy early. A child here learns the language of danger before the language of comfort. They know when a parent's silence means exhaustion, and when it means worry. They know the difference between ordinary footsteps and the kind that make a whole house hold still. Tonight, it's that second kind. At the saloon, the doors move again, not the wild swing of a brawl, just a quiet entrance. One man, then another after several minutes. Space between them. Intentional space. The piano has stopped now. The card game in the corner has gone cold. The bartender polishes the same glass too long, not because it needs cleaning, but because hands need something to do when the room changes shape. The newcomer from earlier is still there. He hasn't left. That matters. A wiser man might have ridden out before sunset, taken the insult, taken the warning, and kept moving west until this town became another patch of dust behind him. But pride has a way of anchoring people to the wrong place. Pride and unfinished business. He sits with his back near the wall now. Better position, better view. He's learning. But learning late can look a lot like losing slowly. The older man across from him tips his chair forward and rests his elbows on his knees. He says something no one else catches. The newcomer answers. This time there is no scraping chair, no obvious reach for a weapon. That would almost be comforting. Open violence is simple. You know where it begins. What's happening here is worse. It has patience. Outside, the wind drags along the main street, lifting grit against door frames and windows. Somewhere, a shutter bangs once, then once more. The sky overhead is clear, black, scattered with stars so sharp they seem cold enough to cut. Out beyond the town, the open land stretches in every direction, merciless and silent. No streetlights, no fences worth trusting. Just distance. Endless, watchful distance. It's easy to romanticize that now. The frontier, the freedom, the open range. But standing here, in this hour, with the dark pressing in from every side, freedom doesn't feel noble. It feels expensive. Every acre has to be defended, every meal worked for, every kindness measured against risk. Even loneliness becomes practical. Caring too much about too many people gives the world more places to wound you, and still, people stay. That's the strange part. Not because it's easy. Never that. They stay because somewhere beneath the hunger, beneath the dust, beneath the fear that sleeps light and wakes fast, there's a belief, stubborn, fragile, impossible to kill completely, that tomorrow might hold more than today did. More money, more rain, more luck. One decent season, one clean break. One reason all this punishment from the land might turn into a life. That hope keeps towns standing longer than they should. Sometimes it keeps people standing too. Then comes the sound. A single shot. Far enough away to echo. Close enough that everyone freezes. Inside the saloon, every face lifts. Outside, windows glow with sudden movement. A horse in the stable jerks hard against its rope. Somewhere a woman gasps. Somewhere else a man curses under his breath and reaches for boots he never fully took off. No second shot follows. That's almost worse, because one shot can mean warning, or accident, or murder done clean. Within seconds, the town divides into those who will go look, and those who know better. The older man in the saloon rises first, not hurried, not startled, as if he had been expecting the night to declare itself eventually. The newcomer stands too, half a heartbeat later. For a moment they look at each other, and in that glance there's something new. Not trust, nothing that generous, but recognition. The night has changed the terms. Whatever sat between them before now shares the room with something larger. Out on the street, doors crack open, lanterns lift. The dust catches the light in pale, shifting clouds, making the whole town look underwater. Men step into the road, adjusting gun belts and suspenders. A few call out, but nobody answers clearly. People point toward the edge of town, toward the dark, where the buildings end and raw land begins. That's where trouble usually waits. Not in the middle of things. At the edge. Always at the edge. And as boots begin moving that way, slow at first, then with more urgency, the town seems to lean with them. Every window, every rooftop, every animal tied to a post becomes part of the same held breath. Because now the question isn't whether something will happen. It already has. The question is what the dark is willing to give back, and what it plans to keep. They don't rush at first. That would be a mistake. Men step forward in a loose line, not quite together, not quite separate either. Each one keeping enough distance to turn, to react, to not get caught in someone else's problem. Boots press into the dirt with a steady rhythm, slower than urgency, faster than caution. Lantern light sways with every step, casting long, broken shadows that stretch ahead of them like warnings. No one speaks much now. Words feel unnecessary once a gun is already spoken. The edge of town comes into view gradually. Buildings thin, then stagger, then stop pretending to exist at all. Beyond that, just open land. Dark and wide and indifferent. The kind of darkness that doesn't hide things, it absorbs them. That's where they find it. A horse first, standing alone. Reins dragging in the dirt, sides heaving, eyes wide and white in the lantern glow. No saddlebag, no rider, just the animal, trembling, as if it ran hard and only stopped because it didn't know where else to go. That tells its own story, but not the whole one. A few steps further, and someone sees the shape on the ground. They don't announce it. They just stop, and the others feel it, like a ripple passing through the group. One by one they slow, then gather, the circle forming without instruction. A man lies there, half turned into the dust, face down, one arm bent under him at the wrong angle. No dramatic pose, no final gesture, just a body that was moving a moment ago, and isn't anymore. The lantern's lower, closer now. Close enough to see the dark stain spreading into the earth beneath him. Slow, steady, the kind that doesn't need explanation. Someone crouches, careful. Not out of respect, but out of habit. You never assume a man is gone until you're certain. The West teaches that lesson quickly, and sometimes more than once. A hand reaches out, turns the body just enough. A face appears, and there it is. Recognition. Not shock. Worse than that. Familiarity. A name passes quietly between them, barely louder than the wind. No one reacts strongly. No outburst. No grief spilling into the open. Because this fits. Too well. Back in town, the woman opens her door. Now, just slightly. She doesn't need to see the body to understand what's happened. The pattern is clear. The night, the tension, the single shot. Pieces fall into place whether you want them to or not. She watches the line of lanterns in the distance. They've stopped moving. That tells her everything. Inside the saloon, the absence is noticed just as quickly as the presence was earlier. Half the men are gone now. The room feels hollow without them, like something essential has been removed. The bartender stops pretending to polish glass. The piano player doesn't even try to restart. The newcomer stands again. This time, no hesitation. He moves toward the door, slower than the others had, but with purpose. Whatever kept him seated before has shifted. Curiosity, maybe, or calculation, or the simple realization that staying uninformed is its own kind of danger. As he steps outside, the night air hits different now. Colder, not in temperature, in meaning. He walks toward the edge, following the trail left by the others. Each footprint, each scuff in the dirt, a guide he didn't ask for but understands anyway. By the time he reaches them, the circle has widened. Not broken, just adjusted.
It's okay. Easy
There's a
now.
space where the body lies.
All right?
No one steps into it unless they have to. It's not sacred ground. Nothing like that. It's just final. The older man stands near the front, arms crossed, eyes fixed. He doesn't look surprised. He doesn't look much of anything. The newcomer stops a few paces back. He takes it in, the horse, the men, the stillness of the body, and something clicks. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. Because now he understands the part no one explains. This town, it isn't waiting for trouble. It is the place where trouble finishes. Questions won't come first. They never do. What comes first is adjustment. Who owed what? Who was seen where? Who benefits from a man not getting back up? The kind of math that doesn't use numbers, but always reaches a result. One of the men finally speaks, low and certain. Gotta move him. Not should, not maybe. Gotta. Because morning is coming, and daylight has its own rules. The body can't stay here. Not like this. Not where everyone will see it before they're ready to deal with what it means. Two men step forward. They don't argue. They don't hesitate. They've done this before. Hands grip fabric, careful but not gentle. The weight shifts, awkward, real. A life reduced to something that needs carrying. The horse nearby lets out a sharp breath, pulling against nothing, as if it knows it's being left behind in a story it didn't choose. The group starts moving again, back toward town. Slower now, heavier. And as they walk, the night seems to close in behind them, erasing the moment almost as quickly as it happened. The dust settles, the darkness reclaims its shape. Out here, even death doesn't linger long in one place. It moves, it follows, and sometimes it arrives before you do.